What's happening, everybody? TK here, TK and Drinks. We got another Tuesday rolled up upon us, so you know what that means. It's going to be another interview. It's going to be another What's the Story? Today we've got the cats from Fox and Raven Mead joining us. It's going to be, I always mess up everybody's names. It's going to be Bryce and Savannah. Possibly one of them, possibly both of them. Not exactly sure who's going to show up today, but we're going to be talking to some of them cats from over there at Fox and Raven Mead. I believe they're in the Dallas area. So hopefully they can jump on board here fairly quickly, and we'll get them logged in and be off and running with the old interview. So thank you all for joining me and for being here on your Tuesday. Appreciate all that. Got a couple meads here set aside. I was going to let them do a little pick and to see what they want to crack open. I guess we can give a quick preview of what we got on deck here. So some of the bottles, was unfortunate in the event that I could not get anything from Fox and Raven to try today. So unfortunately I did have to pull a bottle out of the cellar, but I tried to make it a good one to make up for the fact that I couldn't be drinking any Fox and Raven stuff. So again, a couple here to pull from. First choice is going to be the Chasing Alice from Lost Cause Meadery. So this is a candy cap mushroom and meadow foam honey mead. I can't remember, I think it's like 3 or 4 years old. I definitely want to give that one a chance for them to open that one. Got it was all nice and hot, sweaty bottles. It's so warm in here right now. Black Meadow from Manic Meadery. So this is a bourbon barrel aged meadow foam honey, blackberry blossom honey, 50-50 I think on that one. Yeah, 50 meadow foam honey, 50 blackberry blossom honey, bourbon barrel aged. It's like 16.5%. I did a review on this one prior, but this one is a favorite of mine. Down to my last bottle, and thought I'd give them a chance to get in a piece of this action and let them, let them see what's up. And then we got the Black Soul. So this is a black currant vanilla and aged in French oak barrels from the cats there at Bone Flower Mead. This one I want to say is also couple, maybe 2 years old, a year or two old. It was bottled in October. I can't remember what year though. So definitely wanted to give all of these ones an equal opportunity to be potentially on. It's gonna block my face if I do that on the show. So, I don't know. Hopefully they're ready to go. I don't see them on here. I'm gonna pull them up on the old Instagram Messenger here. See what they say. Haven't. Talked to them earlier, said they were ready to go, 6 p.m. today. What's happening? So, again, Fox and Raven Mead out of the Dallas area. So, one of the things I wanted to talk to these cats about, I've been going through their Instagram page just more recently, brushing up on make sure I got everything all in order, and they've got a pickle mead going, and I'm not quite sure how to take a pickle mead, because they're trying to do it by the commercial mead maker book. I mean, not like by the book, but they're trying to do it by like a commercial standard, so they can potentially upscale this recipe and do it on a commercial scale, because they are in fact instead of just waiting to get started, said we're on live now, come join up. So they got a pickle mead, but they're trying to do it by commercial scale, which says you can't use any vinegar. So I don't really know how they're going to get a pickle flavor in their mead without using any vinegar. I was thinking maybe certainly got to ask them about it. I'm thinking maybe pickling spices and maybe some dill and some other things that they want to throw in there. It looked pretty interesting. I think it's like cucumbers that they got. Oh, there we go. And we'll go ahead and get them. Request, accept that, go live with the volume's not working for you there. I think I have my volume all the way up. Let me double check. Yeah, definitely got that all the way up. So, there we go.
There we go. Hey!
Hey, excellent. Thank you guys. So, yes, it is Bryce and Savannah, correct?
Correct.
Yes, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate you swinging by and giving me a bit of your time. I know you guys are in the middle of opening and getting ready to go commercial and all that jazz, so things can be busy. So I appreciate your time.
No, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We're excited to be here.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. First thing I want to get into is
You guys drinking anything tonight? I always feel like I get so far into the interview before I even talk about what we're drinking. If we get to it at all, I want to make sure to get to that tonight.
I've got one of my traditionals that I aged on some rum chips, and as a backup, I've got a carbonated Marionberry mead.
Excellent choices.
I'm drinking.
Oh yeah.
Good. I'm also drinking. I'm actually taking a break from mead a little bit. I know, but I'm drinking Southern Star tonight. But yeah, and then I'm switching to water.
I was gonna say I got a water here. And then, I don't know if you were watching earlier, but I got a couple meads I pulled out. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any mead from you guys, but I wanted to drink something, so I pulled a couple out of my cellar fridge. So I'll go ahead and pick one from one of these. We've got a Chasing Alice from Lost Cause.
Ooh.
Nice.
You got a Black Meadow from Manic. And you've got a Black Soul from Bone Flower. So you got blackcurrant, vanilla, French oak.
Wow.
Meadow foam honey with candy cap mushrooms, and then meadow foam honey and blackberry blossom honey aged in bourbon barrels.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Those all sound really good.
Yeah, I wanted to make it something special because, like I said, I know you guys are getting ready. You guys are opening up here pretty soon, right?
Hopefully within the month. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to make it a big thing. So go ahead. Which one of those you want me to crack open there?
I'm going to say the Alice, because that one intrigues me. The candy cap mushrooms in there, like, it just seems really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent choice. So, yeah, Billy Belt's down there at frickin' Lost Cause, man. If anybody ever has a chance to grab any of his stuff, I highly recommend it. He uses candy cap mushrooms and meadow foam honey on a fairly regular basis, so definitely give that a shot. So,
yeah, they're definitely one of those, like, oh, I need to order from them. Because they have a lot of very unique flavors, and it just seems just like it works so well.
It smells like maple syrup. It smells like I just uncorked a bottle of maple syrup.
Nice.
Almost like a little bit like cinnamon, actually, like cinnamon bubble gum almost. Like, remember like cinnamon toothpaste when you were a kid? It was like bubble gummy, but kind of like cinnamony, like something like that.
Yeah, okay. I can look at that color. Okay.
Very hazy. Nothing light about that.
No, I don't mind the haze, but like there are people that are just like, it's not clear, it's not good, and it's like that doesn't really affect the flavor. So.
Yeah, no. It's for judging purposes. If you're supposed to be entering a competition, is it clear? Is it not clear? And even then, it's not necessarily a flaw. It's just a notification, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Now, unless it got like floaties and particulates and like yeasty boys left over in there and stuff, then that might be a bit of a problem.
Exactly. That's a different story. Yeah.
Yeah. So very spicy on the aromatics. Like definitely marshmallowy. It's like that meadow foam honey always like hits me like either like toasted marshmallows or like freshly cooked marshmallows, like when they're still warm. Like if you were to make them yourself.
Meadow foam is one of the most unique honeys, and I just wish it wasn't so expensive, but it is just delicious all the time.
That's pretty good. Tastes just like meadow foam honey. That's the thing with candy cap mushrooms, in my experience, is they just impart a lot of maple aromatics. The flavor's not so much there. I don't know. I give that like a 39-40. It's not certainly not the best I've had from them, but it doesn't disappoint.
Pretty good one,
yeah. So enough about other people. On to Bryce and Savannah and the Fox and Raven. So, like you said, you're getting ready to open up here in the month. Give us a little backstory on your journey, real quick.
Do you want to go?
I kind of forced him into it.
Okay.
I mean that's the short of it. I mean, so Bryce he's been brewing like beer.
Beer like about 11 years back, before the whole craft beer revolution thing started, and you couldn't find good beer in stores, so started making my own, and that was a good journey. And then even back then, I tried making mead, and it didn't turn out well. I'm not gonna lie, but I've always been making something, and it's only been in about the last 3 to 4 years now that I've just focused strictly on mead, and it is a fun journey. I really enjoy mead. Just being able to put pretty much anything in, and the flavor profiles are so wide and broad, and you can do very different things. Like, I mean, Bochet's. I don't know who decided to boil honey, but that's just a genius move, you know.
The way we kind of got started in it, though, really was we go to Renaissance fairs a lot, and the fairs we were going to, we could basically only find Chaucers, and it wasn't really what we thought. We were like, we want to try something else. We want to see if there's anything else around, and there really wasn't down here for us at the time. So he started, experimenting with me, and he was getting better and better. And I'm like, dude, we should just like do this. And that's kind of what happened. Like eventually, he got tired of me saying it, and he's just like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just try it. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, the old pressure from the partner typically will. When applied appropriately, can do wondrous things.
Oh yeah, it does. And like, it's one of those, it's been a very fun journey up to this point, and I just can't wait to see where we go from here. So
nice.
Yeah.
We did have a question from Sam making mead down there. Was asking how much is per pound for metal foam honey. I've never purchased any myself. I've heard it can be upwards of like $8-9 a pound if you're buying it on small quantities.
The last bit I bought was 3 pounds for $27, so 9 pounds or $9 a pound. Yeah, it is. It's expensive, man. It is such a unique flavor, and you can do so much with it. Like even just back sweetening with it does marvelous.
Hi, Sam.
Yeah, must be a friend of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually a mead maker in the UK that just recently like got his mead business going. So.
I think we're working on.
Hell yeah! Shout out to Sam.
Yeah, and we are working on a collab with Sam. It's been quite fun. It's going to be a little challenge doing it overseas, but we are going to get there.
We're gonna make it work.
Yeah, we're going to make it work.
Nice. Awesome. Everybody, go give Sam Make It Mead a follow there on the Instagram. Check out some of that UK mead flavor they got coming up. And then Weeping Willows Mead, John, what's going on?
Hey.
So now you guys.
I've done stuff with John before too. It's been he at one point posted just a picture of Fruity Pebbles syrup. He's like, I'm going to ferment this. And I'm like, are you, what? So I decided to join him in that journey, and it's sitting over there aging right now, waiting to crack it open. But it's an interesting flavor, but it's just a fun thing to do, you know?
I was going to bring that up a little bit later. I was like, so yeah, I know you're part of the bastardization clan of the Fruity Pebbles mead. Let's ferment syrup.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those, like, it's more just an exercise to see what you can do and what you get out of it. Sure. And sometimes you can apply that knowledge, you know, to other things. But figuring out weird ingredients and going from there, I kind of enjoy that.
That's half the fun, really.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely all about Frankensteining stuff together and just being like, what if we do this? What if we do that?
Yeah.
That's definitely half the fun.
Yeah, and like when we first joined in before you added us, we heard you talking about the pickle mead we got going.
Yes. Definitely have questions.
Yes. Well, this is her abomination / joyous thing. I don't know. But
I'm literally calling. Well, that's not the name, but I call it my abomination because my sister loves pickles. She loves pickle juice. She drinks it on her own. On its own. She like eats pickle snow cones, and my brother also loves pickles. I'm not a big pickle fan, ironically, but I want to make something like it was really for them. It was really like, can I make this something that they would enjoy? So.
Fair enough. So how are you getting that pickle flavor come across? Are you doing like pickle spices? Are you doing dill? What are we doing? Because it looks like in the picture I see on here, it looks like there's something floating in there. I can't quite tell if it's pickling cucumbers or what.
It's just cucumbers right now, like just standard cucumbers. And we took the skin off because I heard the chlorophyll kind of messes with stuff. So I took all the skin off, and it's just the flesh. Froze it, you know, to break the cellular walls, put it in. And then from another mead we did, she got the idea to throw in kelp to kind of give it that more round flavor. Kelp is an interesting one. I put it in a pirate mead we made, which turned out phenomenally well. Like, kelp just kind of gives it a thicker mouthfeel and kind of gives a little rounder flavor on the end. It's very intriguing, but starting off with the cucumbers, the kelp, and that's pretty much all that's in there right now. It's already starting to taste like a pickle. And once fermentation's done, she's going to throw in definitely dill for sure and some other spices, and we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah, it's definitely early experiment stages right now. So.
Yeah, and to get around the vinegar, what we're planning on doing is putting in some acid at the end to kind of give it that pucker, as well as I used a yeast that gives off a lot of bitterness at the end. Like a what is it? Like a UK bitter beer, that type of yeast. Just kind of put those together and just see what happens. It's all experimental, but it's kind of the fun of it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, I was talking to some cats over in Virginia called Funktastic Meads up there.
Yes.
They did a one that was aged on smoked bacon. Like they made a traditional and then aged it on maple and vanilla, then aged that on bacon. Have you thought about maybe throwing, like, actually aging it on pickles, like real pickles, and see if you can't impart it that way? Because you're not technically, like, fermenting with the vinegar that way, and you could still impart some of the, like, actual vinegar essences.
Yeah, that might be a possibility. I'd want to, clear it with the TTB and all to make sure that that's a possibility, because I'm trying to just experiment with brews that we can eventually, maybe commercialize. So I kind of want to stay within the guidelines of that. So that's something I'd have to clear with the TTB, but it is a good idea, and I have kind of thought about that. But trying to make it without the vinegar is kind of the challenge, and like it's kind of figuring out things that flavors that you wouldn't think would work would actually work.
Yeah, that's definitely half the fun, just faking it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you guys are like the mad scientists. It's not necessarily about creating the end thing through like the easiest means. It's about creating it through the creative process.
Yes, and it's one of those, like, it goes to engineering aspects, like where you have limitations, you get more creative with what you can use, as opposed to being like, oh, I can just go all over the place. So by giving yourself limitations, you get more creative and learn more things.
I agree with that. I've always thought that setting restrictions and guidelines on yourself, be it self-imposed or TTB regulations or whatnot, certainly made people get creative within that. I also don't like to see a lot of red tape because I think it stifles some creativity. But I mean, all you have to do is not sell it commercially, and you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yes, and that kind of brings us to the other one that was on that post, which was a horchata mead. So, if you're not familiar with horchata, it is a Mexican drink that's basically rice-based. It's got cinnamon and vanilla in there. It is absolutely fantastic. But you can't use rice because it's a grain.
For me.
Right.
For mead, yeah. So what I did is I made my own almond milk to kind of give it that thickness and creaminess, and I'm trying it that way.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We really will.
Yeah, we've got a weird combo here because he's an engineer and I'm an artist, so it's like, scientific, and I'm just like, let's just like throw things at it and see what happens. Let's just like do it, man. So it's gonna be interesting to see what comes out of these two brains, I think.
Yes. Yeah, and there's a Texas Longhouse Mead in the comments. That's Carlos. He's actually the one who we were talking about this with, and he's got his own horchata one.
Yeah, he actually inspired us to try it.
He did.
So we're trying to figure out a way to do it without the rice.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I love Carlos. That dude's the business. Texas Longhouse Mead. That he sent me a couple that he did. His stuff is phenomenal.
It really is. Yeah, it's phenomenal, and I'm really glad to have them in this area. So we actually didn't know he was in the area until they did the mead competition, Mead Stampede, a little back, and that was when Savannah posted the first label for ours, and someone's like, "Dude, they're in Carrollton," and he's like, "That's like 40 minutes from me. What?" He thought I was in Pennsylvania.
We were right here the whole time.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I didn't realize you guys were down in Texas. I thought you guys were East Coast for some reason.
Interesting.
That is, that's going to be an interesting one to get over. Not a complaint. It's just a fascinating thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that him and I both, like, having never talked about where you guys were located, are both like, yeah, I don't. Pennsylvania, Jersey sounds about right. I don't know.
Like, yeah, no, it's wrong, but it's fine. So. Yeah.
Steven over there sidetrack saying we need to push the AMMA to lobby to get more things added.
Oh, yeah.
And I agree. That was always kind of one of my beefs with the AMMA. Like, I know they do a lot of things, but it seems like they could be doing significantly more when it comes to pushing forward, like, boundaries as far as ingredients and regulations and stuff like that. But again, I only see a little bit from the surface.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing with the limitations and all. Like, we do need to push harder on that, and there have been some companies that do that. Hierophant Meadery up in Washington, they constantly like try to get new botanicals in and actually fight for them all the time. So Hierophant's doing really good there.
Yeah, Jeremy's an absolute. Again, you're talking about another mad scientist. Between him and Michelle, they got all sorts of botanical. As far as I'm concerned, they're the leading botanical mead makers in the country, possibly in the world. I mean, they do stuff that nobody else. They work with like 3 or 4 different types of mushrooms, like 2 or 3 different types of chamomile at times. Like,
Yeah.
No, and like we went to their shop in Whidbey Island when we were on vacation last year, and that's kind of what spawned this whole thing.
It was the last straw. It was the straw.
It really was.
Back talking to Jeremy.
Yeah, we talked to Jeremy for like 2 hours. And it was just fantastic.
Just tasting meads and talking, and I think that was really what put us over the top of like, you know what, let's just do this. So.
Yeah, and they have that whole botanicals area in there where you can buy all the different things that they make their mead with, all the different botanicals that they pick up and everything. Yeah. They're a good set of people to be inspired by. I can certainly understand that.
Oh yeah.
So you're aiming to be open up by the end of the month, and I'm looking as I look through the pictures and whatnot here. I see, like we got bright tanks. You got. I mean, like how many different setups do you have? How many brews, like commercial sized brews, you can have going and stuff?
We don't have any bright tanks. We only have.
Oh, those aren't bright tanks.
Yeah, no, they're 2 variable volume tanks.
There you go.
They're 600 liters, about 160 gallons. We have that. We have a small glycol chiller, and right now it's kind of a mix between starting professional / still homebrew. So in place of bright tank, I'm throwing everything into corny kegs, and we're going to bottle it from there.
Oh, so, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, like, we're trying to work, and eventually we'll get bright tanks and all that going, but we're going in this with what we can and just going to take the ride from there.
Hell yeah, that's just balls to the wall. I like that. Do you have a retail space already, or are you guys permitted to do out of your garage like the cats up at Dragon, or how you doing that?
Oh, no. Texas is very, like, strict, I guess. Like, they're very much, like, you have to have like a business space, can't do it out of your house, things like that. So it was actually kind of challenging to start here. So unfortunately, we are not going to have a retail space. We're not going to have a tap room to start off with. We do have a license for delivery locally, and we're also going to be shipping out like online, things like that. And I think we will have like limited pickup hours, things like that. To start off with. We've also been in talks with a couple of different like breweries, like bars, things around here that we're hoping actually to like get our mead.
Do some local distribution and all that to get some exposure. There we go.
And then also we plan to do like fairs, festivals, things like that.
Yeah, so, farmers markets, etc. Just get out there, just get something, and eventually we'll get a retail space.
Yeah, or I would love to have a tap room one day.
Yes,
but it's just with the limitations of what Texas allows and with our starting budget, it just wasn't in the cards for us, unfortunately. And we are still full-time jobs.
Yeah, we are.
So it's like we're doing all the things and we're starting small, but we do plan to expand. It's just going to be a matter of time.
See, that strikes me as really odd that Texas would be like heavy on the regulations. Like I thought Texas was like, you know, good old Republican country, cut off all the red tape and everything, and let's make some fucking business.
Not when it comes to alcohol, for some reason.
Yeah, alcohol and all that. Yeah, they're very uptight about.
I mean, most of the counties around here are dry. Like you can't even buy like hard liquor.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, it's so crazy.
And like the cool part of towns that we were just like, oh, what about over there? Like Savannah just said, no, they're dry.
Yeah,
so
they won't even let
if you want to open a place there, you basically have to open a restaurant that has a bar.
Yeah.
So
it was really challenging to find a spot based on zoning and things like that. So those are like some of the challenges that we've been running into being in Texas.
Yeah, and then the other challenges we had are a lot of business owners, or not business owners, the real estate owners. They don't know what mead is.
There's a lack of understanding of the process and what it entails and the level of danger that it would pose to their building.
There was a ridiculous number that are just like, you're going to cause explosions. And it's like, are you kidding me? It's like wine. Do you hear wineries exploding? Like, bro, no.
Bro, no.
It's a winery, not a meth lab.
Right? Exactly.
God, that's terrible.
So yeah, so
But-
we settled for a small industrial space, and it's about 1,000 square feet. It's plenty big enough for us to start in and even expand in there. And even if it comes down to it, and we get a retail space, we can get a small retail space and just keep that industrial space as the brewing area.
Yeah.
That's a pretty solid call, man.
Yeah.
I can definitely get behind that. And mead meth. Yeah,
Write that down. That's a mead name.
yeah. Well, I like your guys' artwork. It has this this comic book spine type of vibe to it, which I think is awesome. I love the name. Hello, my name is Mel. We got some hydras here and whatnot.
Oh yeah, we've got a little print right here even. So.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, see. Yeah, so that's legit. I definitely digging that. Is that going to be is that just kind of like a throw together graphic, or is that going to be like something you're trying to aim for, like legitimately is like that style? Because that's very cool if you are.
Oh, thank you.
It's cool either way. But
I did go to school for graphic design and like branding and stuff like that, so I'm very into like branding as a whole. So
yes.
kind of the theme of our whole brand is like storytelling. So it is like a comic book. All of our labels are going to look like either comic books, short stories, or novels. And it's kind of like something that me and Bryce both love. We both really love storytelling, like good storytelling. We actually met at a movie theater.
Yeah.
So we're just really into that whole thing, like good movies, good songs, good plays, good whatever. Like we love it. And we also really love like hearing other people's stories.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're very much into like, hey, what's up with you? What's going on? Tell me, like, and I know it's like and telling our story too. So just that whole vibe is kind of like what we're going for. And also like I think I might have put it on the label, but I really do feel like, you make friends through the stories you tell, right? Like that's how you get to know somebody, you tell stories. So it's like super important to just being like a human being even. So that's like the kind of brand and vibe that we're going for.
Yeah.
At Fox and Raven Mead, we create mead inspired by the stories that we shared that have shaped us, from tall tales to epic journeys and everything in between. I like that. That's a solid moniker right there.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then she's trying to bury the lead, but she makes all the art.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So she's making our logo, she's making all our labels, and it was her idea to come up with the labels being comic books, like book covers, everything like that, and it fits what we're going for so much.
I think it's a phenomenal concept. I look at mead bottles all the time and from different commercial places and everything, and I think that's a concept that hasn't been touched yet, and it's something unique. Like the cats over in North Carolina at Retro Meadery, they're making theirs look like video game cases and kind of like old, maybe like retro type stuff. Like this is a whole in that same line, like something that's unique in its own concept and gets, like you said, gets a story across. I'm a huge fan. I'm dying for you guys to open so I can start drinking Fox and Raven Mead.
Thank you. Yeah.
How many labels do you guys have made already?
So this is our first one. I'm working on our traditional label. I'm also working on a label for a strawberry mead that we had made. That one's going to be called, I think we settled on Desdemona.
Yeah. And it's a hydromel. It's a strawberries and cream inspired one. So we got strawberries, lactose, and a little bit of vanilla in there. And Stephen from Sidetrack Mead has been saying quite a few times in the chat there. Yeah, he's sampled some of it and his eyes basically bugged out, and that pretty much happens with everyone that tries that one. So that's the next one that's going in the fermenter, and I can't wait to get that one out.
Yeah, it's delicious. He had to tell me to stop drinking. He's like, we're having people over to taste it. Stop drinking.
I made a small batch, and she was drinking most of it, and she's just like, hold on, just a little bit.
Every time we go to work, I'm like, I need another sample of the strawberry mead. I just got to make sure quality's still there. But.
Yeah, because it took me a while to figure out how to do strawberry correctly, because that's her favorite fruit. And, I mean, if you've ever, fermented strawberries just the normal way, throw them in primary, go from there, and all that, it gets a burnt plasticky taste when it comes out. So
it comes out like Boone's Farm.
Yes, yes. But it took me a long time to figure it out how to get strawberry just right.
Yeah,
and
I kept rejecting them. I was like, why are you giving this to me?
Exactly. And
That's what I'm going. That's my girl right there.
The trick, then it's just like, she can't stop drinking it. I know it's good.
Yeah. That's how you know.
Yeah.
I even asked if we had more of it left for tonight, and he's like, no, you drank it all. I was like, dang it.
Said, no, you already drank it all.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. As I say, there was a lot of chatter back there up in the comment section about that strawberry hydromel. Everybody's chiming in on it. Strawberry ice cream, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
People are like losing their minds over this. So
yeah, no, I can't wait to get that one out.
What's the lineup for opening day? What are we trying to do? Is that going to be on the menu? Hopefully.
Opening day, like, alls we're gonna have is our standard traditional hydromel. We're starting small. I mean, we're only gonna have the one. We're gonna get more out there as we get more, but we just want to get something out there, and we want to get just moving forward.
Yeah,
so.
I think it'll be the traditional hydromel first, and the strawberry hydromel will probably come out right after that, and then we'll have our traditional still right after that.
Yeah,
and then
we'll move on to some more flavors. Like, we've got 4 flagship meads that we want to get out, the tradition, or the stills, if you will. We got our traditional. We have a blueberry vanilla, and then a pineapple hibiscus, and then a creme brulee inspired one, which is a bochet with lactose, a bunch of vanilla, and then some cinnamon.
Interesting. I'm not sure how those all those like milk sugar ones always end up turning out. Like you said, that strawberries and cream one, that must have had milk sugars in it too, or lactose sugar.
Yeah.
And, all right, I'll give it a shot, man. I'm in. Yeah. You got me convinced.
It's one of those, I try not to use lactose unless I think it fits the style. Like I said, I was going for strawberries and cream, so the easiest way to get like a creamy mouthfeel in there is lactose. I mean, the only downside is that there's a few number of people who are allergic to lactose. So that's the unfortunate part. But other than that, I mean, I try not to put it in everything because, number one, it's not everyone's thing, and it doesn't suit certain things. But back sweetening with honey is generally what I do because it's mead. Come on.
Are you guys stabilizing?
Yes. So there isn't one mead we have that will max out the ABV, so we do stabilize and then back sweeten from there.
Solid call.
Yeah.
Definitely digging that. So
you know, without stabilizing and sending out a commercial object, I don't want the bottle bomb incident, you know, so I'd rather stabilize. Even if I know I hit the max ABV, I'd still rather stabilize just for that safety.
Yeah, I've had too many meads paint my ceiling to not.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing. So 4 flagship meads is the goal, and you're running strong. Do you have any? What's day one look like? Are you dropping off at any accounts? Or are you just kind of turning the on sign on the Vino Shipper account? What are we doing?
That's pretty much it. We're going to turn it on the Vino Shipper, and then once we have some product, which should be that same time, we'll start going around to local areas and local shops and all, trying to see if we can get them to carry. Because there's a lot of shops that won't even like give you time if you don't have a product in hand.
We do have a couple.
Don't I fucking know it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do already have a couple people we've already talked to when we were in our early stages, and we had samples, but we didn't have any product yet. And so that's another plan, is to reach back out to them and be like, hey, we're ready now. Like, what do you need? Like, let us do it for you. So yeah, and then I guess are we looking forward to Christmas next? Is that what we're doing?
I don't quite know. I kind of want to get all the flagships out before we start doing seasonals and all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, we've got a lot of like seasonals and a lot of things that we want to get out, but I want to get the flagship stuff out first.
I'm really looking forward to. We really want to make our own mulling spice blend.
Yes.
Like, we're big fans, so that's something that we're going to be working on soon as well.
You guys going to be shipping to Florida?
If Vino Shipper allows it, I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah,
Florida's one of the states.
Yeah. Then it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Yes. Stabilizing is well worth the time. Agreed there, Shane.
Just to get rid of the bottle bomb thing alone is worth it.
Yeah. Like I said, I had one of my very first meads I purchased. I brought it home. It was a elderberry mead. I popped that thing open. It was on a swing top bottle, and that thing, I guess my ceiling has still got hints of purple to it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was not a positive experience.
Yeah, that reminds me of one time that I made a stout, and I have never been able to make a stout ever again because of it. But like the airlock was clogged, so I was like, cool, I'm gonna take this to the sink and undo it. And the moment I just wedge it just a little, just poof, fountain. Yeah.
The worst ones is when you hear about. The worst ones to me is like you hear about people like sitting in their living room or doing something. All of a sudden they start hearing explosions from their brewing room, and they've got like 4 or 5 bottles that popped and soaked cardboard and carpet and or ceiling whatever's in there. Yeah, no, I'm cool.
Yeah. No, we actually had a commercial bottle bomb in our house the other day with some beer we bought, and it was just, that was not fun to deal with.
It was exciting.
Nerve-wracking is the word I would use.
We were carrying it from this room to the fridge, and all of a sudden I hear a pop, and I'm like, what's happening? And it's just like, pop, pop. I'm like, are you doing that? And he's like, no.
Okay. Man. Was that something you bought locally?
Yeah, it was something we bought locally.
It was I think it was a limited run.
It was.
So I think that's probably why, because we buy from them all the time. They're fine. But it was more funny than anything. So.
I still haven't recovered from it.
No, you were trying.
I'm still having flashbacks.
Yeah, no, like it's one thing when like you hear it go off. It's another one like you're carrying it and like. But
Carlos is saying he just had to dump 5 gallons because the stabilization failed. That sucks.
No. Nobody likes to throw that away, but sometimes there's not a choice.
Yeah, definitely. That I had to dump 3 gallons of a cherry. It was like 3 gallons of a cherry vanilla mead because I had too much headspace, and got oxidized and grew mold on top of it because I didn't purge it with CO2 or anything.
Yeah, it's all a learning experience,
Definitely is a learning experience. I'll give you that. So you got the four that you're planning on doing when you're opening. You're going to be opening up on Vino Shipper. The plans to start small, grow into a bigger type of thing. What else other than who else I should say inspired you other than like going to Hierophant? Like what who inspired you to start home brewing? I should say. Let's go with that.
Yeah,
with home brewing, like, and again, this goes back to like 11 years ago when I started doing beer. Like, I came from the Seattle area originally. The craft beer scene when I left there was huge, and I come down here to Texas, and it's like you got Bud Miller, Coors, and Shiner.
Oh, no,
that's about it.
At the time,
Blue Moon.
The Blue Moon started to come out, but I mean, there still really wasn't a big craft beer scene.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get something other than what I could find in the store. So I just started making my own, and plus it was a lot cheaper, and it kind of became a hobby, and I just kind of went from there. So I wouldn't say anyone in particular inspired me. I just kind of picked it up and got into it and used the internet as my guide.
There you go. I'm really not digging this the more I drink it. It's really starting to taste like my kid's bubble gum. I want to downgrade it from like a 40 down to like a 35.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
It's super funky.
I mean, sometimes funky's nice, but
it's funky not funky in a good way. And I mean, not for me personally, funky in a good way. Have you guys had to dump any batches yet, or had to recalculate anything or retool something?
I will say that I'll tell you a recent horror story we almost had. So we're in Texas. It's been over 100 degrees here for how many days now? Straight? Like 60?
Well, not straight, but in total this year, there's already been over 67 days or something. It's ridiculous.
So we're brewing in a warehouse area, so we bought a glycol chiller to keep our tanks cool because they're jacketed. And we've been going over there fairly often to like check on everything and just mess with things. And Bryce had gone over there yesterday for like a routine check, and I was at home, and he was just stopping on the way home from work. And then he called me, and he was just like, guess what? The glycol chiller is not working. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah. Whoa. The thing's less than like a month old. And I walk in and just, it's powered down. And I have I know what happened now, but at the time I was just like, huh? Like,
yeah, so he was sending me text updates, and I was like, do you need me to come up there? And he's like, there's nothing you can do right now. You can just stay at home.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my God.
I mean, I was in there taking off all the panels, trying to figure it out, and eventually I came to the point where I could get to the condenser, and I touched it. It was just hot. It was hot. So the thing was just overheated in our warehouse. And
oh my god, yeah.
Because that warehouse gets to like, I mean, it's no insulation in there, and
it's a metal
roof.
It's 115 degrees in there.
It's at least 115 in there. It might be 120.
Yeah, like let's put it this way: when we put in some test batches in the warehouse with Kvike yeast, it killed the Kvike yeast.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so hot it killed the Kvike yeast.
Great story.
Oh. Well, there goes my suggestion.
So that's when we got the glycol trailer, and we're like, yeah, we can't make this work whatever we do. So that's how hot it gets in there. And so what I did is I just unplugged it, let it be for a while. We had just a small little like desk side fan type of thing, and I just blew that across the condenser. And within an hour it turned back on. And that's actually been working a lot better, because I went in today after work and it was actually colder than it's been this entire time. Yeah. So
there you go.
So it's learning small things like that about your equipment.
Yeah, definitely. How big do you plan on, like, how big is your space, and how big do you plan on going, like, not say ultimately, but like in the next upgrade?
Sure. So we really try to future-proof what we're doing with the variable volume tanks. So right now we're using.
Sorry, it's not like you said future-proof?
Yeah. Like future-proof us a little bit, because it's like we invested up front a little bit in our bigger tanks, and they're variable volume, so we can start pretty small and grow from there. So really that I'm hoping will last us for a while, and then from there. I'll leave it to you.
Yeah. So I mean, with the variable volume tanks, it really is. We're only using about a third capacity right now on them, and that's just to get some. And that's roughly about 50 gallons. So that's about what we're doing for all of our batches right now. But we can do up to 160 gallons. So future proof in this case is buying more than you need, so you can grow into it.
I just never heard that term before. I'm so out of date.
But you mentioned also buying bright tanks eventually.
Yeah, buying bright tanks so that, we don't have to use corny kegs to carbonate. Even buying more tanks as we need them. Like, we're starting small and we're going to move on up. And the eventual goal isn't to take over the world. It's just to basically, have this be our primary jobs.
I mean, if taking over the world is an option, I'm not gonna say no. But yeah, no, we would really love to be a local spot eventually to have a tap room, to be a place that people can come and that we can hang out and like meet different people. Like eventually that's what we wanted to do. It almost happened for us off the bat, but it ended up not working out, and so I'm just gonna embrace what we have going on right now. Like I know it's for a reason. So yeah.
There you go. Nice positive attitude about it. Gotta like that.
Oh yeah.
We try.
So we try. Well, that's definitely good. So are you gonna be doing any? I mean, I know you guys have a ton of like carboys around and stuff. Can you move any of those into the space and do like smaller batches and do like samples or like 200 ml bottles or something of small batches?
We absolutely can, and we do have plans for that. It's just we're trying to get the big stuff out first, but I mean, now that we're kind of settled in and we know how all the equipment works, it is definitely an option to start with the small stuff, like even just 5-gallon batches, and just see how those do, get feedback, and go from there. So that is in the books.
Capped bottles, cork bottles, both?
We do cap bottles for the hydromels, and then for the stills we do corks, and I prefer synthetic corks.
Yeah, I don't really have a preference. I've had, I guess I would have to say I like the synthetic corks. I don't think a lot of people use them. I've certainly gotten a lot less synthetic corks than I haven't. But yeah, there's nothing worse than having a real cork that breaks in there and you got floaties and shit that falls down in your you're like, man, that's a sour taste. I want to knock it down a point just because I'm an asshole.
Yeah, but I had that happen with some of the corks I was buying with mine, and I'm like, I don't want to pass this on to a customer. And on top of that, like synthetic corks, the one I'm looking at anyways, like they're also very eco-friendly. They actually have a negative carbon footprint. So I'm like, oh,
there
that's
we go.
cool. And they're also recyclable. So I'm just like, this is a win-win.
It all makes sense.
It all makes sense, yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, they also just generally last longer than traditional corks, and they cost about the same price. So I'm not complaining at all.
Plus, synthetic cork trees look cool as shit.
Yeah.
So,
Kind of want to see one now.
right? So Kyle up there at NEK Meads is asking, what is your fruited mead strategy if you're willing to let out a secret or two?
The strawberry one I won't give away because I can't tell you how many batches I did. And with it being her favorite fruit, that's one secret. I'm sorry, I'm going to hold that on.
Fair enough.
But generally speaking, every fruit I usually do at least a 1 gallon test batch with to kind of see what happens. I typically always freeze the fruit, thaw it, sometimes more than that, just, break down the cellular walls so you get more extraction out of it.
Sure.
But sometimes things don't work in primary as well, and that's, part of the experiment. But generally speaking, if I'm doing a still mead, I'm talking 3 to 5 pounds per gallon. If it's a hydromel, about 1 to 2. It just depends on what I'm going for. And if I'm doing multiple fruits, I'll try to find a balance between them. It's not necessarily 50-50. So.
Okay, that's a hefty amount of fruit for your still meads. I think 3 to 5 pounds is right in the wheelhouse for the berry bomb classification.
Mm-hmm. Well, once you start going past 5, you kind of lose the honey aspect. So I kind of
like a fruit wine.
Yeah, exactly. So I still like at 5. It depends on the fruit. Like if you have a really strong fruit, you don't even need but 1 pound. But generally speaking, about 3 to 5 is about where I stay. But if I'm going to do something like that's really strong or pungent, prickly pear, for instance, that one needs a lot less.
We're definitely all about experimenting. Like, I don't think there's very few meads that we're like finalized on that we did only 1 or 2 batches.
There's only 2 that I got right on the first batch.
We're pretty obsessive with getting stuff the way we want it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the strawberry was the worst, but we've got another one of hers that we're working on. That is.
It's on the 5th.
It's on the 5th. Yeah, it's on the 5th rendition of it, and we think we finally have it. We're waiting for it to age, but it is a pomegranate, rosehip, and cardamom mead.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that
sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it's actually one of the drier ones we do. So that one, it is more wine-like, especially with that pomegranate like undertone with it. So that one we're kind of hoping to get into the wine crowd, see what they think.
Pomegranate and cardamom and what?
Rose hips.
Rose hips. Interesting. I'm not a huge fan of rose hips and rose water, but it sounds like that would be fairly appropriate for what you're trying to pull off there.
Yeah, and again, it's all about balancing and finding what works. It's a surprisingly little amount of rose hips and cardamom that you need to get that to work per gallon.
So going back to talking about the story, this was one of the ones that I kind of wanted to do, and it's a Phantom of the Opera inspired story. So the pomegranate has, traces of the Hades Persephone kind of thing, like going into the underground, and then rose. I didn't want to do rose, so we did rose hips, and so it's built around. We do have several meads that we've built. We are inspired by foods and flavors, but we do have several meads that are inspired by books and stories, and this is like one of them. So,
very cool.
Which is another reason that it has to be perfect before it comes out to y'all, because I want to make sure that it's up to my high standards. So.
I don't know if I've ever tasted the personification of a book before, but it sounds intriguing, and you've certainly piqued my interest.
As long as it's not musky, I think you'll be fine.
Hey, man, you know what? I like a good buckwheat honey.
Yeah, that's one I can't get past her. Like, she just does not like it at all.
I think it has to be for the right thing. Like, I haven't found the right thing yet, but we'll see. Because the one you gave me, I was like, I don't know about this.
Yeah, I mean, I like the funkiness that buckwheat brings, but it's definitely not for everyone.
I think it needs something else to balance it out for me personally.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the 2 buckwheat honeys meads that I've had, both one was in a bourbon barrel aged sizer,
Ooh.
and one was in a conglomeration with a bunch of other stuff. Had a bunch of like vanilla and chocolate and caramel notes to it, so it really played up with that aspect as well. But yeah, just a straight buckwheat honey something is definitely going to be funky to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a gingerbread one with all buckwheat honey, and I regret it.
It's not it.
Yeah, it was not it. If I would have like back sweetened with the buckwheat honey, that's probably what would have worked. But full ferment and back sweeten,
It's okay.
it was too much. It was too much.
We learned a lot.
Yeah, but when I did my Manuka honey traditional, it was that same way. I did all Manuka honey in the ferment, and then I back sweetened with some Manuka honey again. I'm like, it tastes way too like medicinal and too much like I don't know if you ever had Manuka honey or not. My wife always yells at me when I say medicinal, but it had this very like earthy, viney plant type of taste to it.
Yeah.
And what you back sweetened with something else, got a little different character. They played together, and boom, it just exploded.
I could see that, yeah. And I have had Manuka honey. It's definitely it's one of those other honeys that's very unique. It's hard to explain, but medicinal is a good way to start.
That's the only way I can explain it. It reminded me of like if somebody took, I don't know, not even like a clover honey, kind of a more neutral honey, and like aged it on aspirin. it just had this very like pungent, like astringent type of taste to it, and like that was the best way I could describe it when it was fermenting. When it got done, before I back sweetened it, somebody's like, "How does it taste?" I said, "It tastes like I fermented aspirin."
Oh no.
It was terrible. I mean, I couldn't stand it. I'm surprised anybody even liked it, let alone enough people to win an award with it. But I'll tell you what, that was something the fuck else.
Oh man, that is
I mean, that's how you learn, though.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't regret him doing buckwheat, because I was like, you know what, all together, this is not so great, but I feel like these flavors would work with something, and we just got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the biggest thing. And I mean, to your credit, you guys, with your amount of experimenting you do, and not being afraid to, grab the bottle of Fruity Pebbles, syrup it, and ferment with it, and as opposed to somebody like me who's very snobbish. Fruity Pebbles, I would never. But I'll tell you what, I'm intrigued as shit to try it out, and I'll be the first one in line to pour a glass while I'm talking shit in the background.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll tell you, the Fruity Pebble one, man, like, it definitely has a weird kind of oily undertaste to it. But, like, it was, I forgot his name earlier, but the Weeping Willow Meads, like, he's like, just mix it with Sprite, and I'm like, oh, that's totally gonna do it,
Interesting.
Yeah, that's where you kind of go, okay, so you kind of carbonate it with Sprite, but it livens everything up, and all right, I'll give that a try.
I will say I think that's just a fun at-home one.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really is. I don't think the teacher is going to be like, you fermented what?
To me, it reminds me of, like, in the best way possible, like, white trailer trash meat.
Yeah, there's actually a whole subreddit to it called Prison Hooch. They ferment anything.
Yes, they do. Oh, my God.
But, yeah, no, I like Savannah says, I just like experimenting because you find out weird things and you find flavors that you can introduce. And, like, in the case that we found out with the pirate mead and the pickle mead, like, kelp works. And that's one of those things, like, my brain was just like, just make this pirate mead. Just make this pirate mead. The pirate mead, by the way, it's kelp, it's gunpowder green tea, salt, black peppercorns, and then we put some rum barrel chips in there.
Ooh,
and
that sounds
all
interesting.
pirate things, yeah. And like my brain just would not let me not make it. I tried not making it for 2 months. It was just like, hey, make this. And I did, and it was really weird. But then after it aged, it was actually really good. I couldn't believe it. But, yeah, but because of that, like, we're now using the kelp in the pickle mead, and it's just it's working right now. So far.
Very young, so we'll see.
But if it wasn't for that experimentation, we would never even thought of that.
And they don't always work out.
No, they don't always work out. No.
Gone horribly.
Yeah, some of them, and those are the ones that you don't tell anyone about. And you're just like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like throwing Bort Simpson up in the attic in the Halloween episode. You just throw it up in the attic, feed it a bucket of fish heads once a week, and call it good.
Yep, exactly.
And he'll still drink them.
That's
too.
Yeah, and then sometimes you go back up there, you're like, hey, I remember you. Come down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, oof, man. So Kyle's asking, what's your guys' favorite honey varieties to work with?
I mean, meadow foam. That stuff is just amazing. Next to that, I really like mesquite honey.
I personally like holly honey.
Oh, yeah, holly's good.
That's actually my favorite. I want to do something with that, and I might try to come up with something like for Christmas with that. Honestly.
Yeah, you really could.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I don't think I have holly honey. That sounds good.
Yeah, we were talking at one point mixing holly honey and mesquite honey and calling it Hollywood.
You can see yourself out whenever you're ready. Only because I didn't think of it first.
Right? It's one of those, it's so stupid, but I'll take it.
That's pretty legit. And you could even do do a whole line of them with different wood-based, like a leather wood one or, all right.
Somebody in the comments mentioned
Clever
like
bastard.
the book that we were talking earlier. Just make it with leatherwood honey. It's like eating a book. Like, okay.
No, that's cool. I think that's a solid call, you guys. I can definitely be on board with that. So, how fast did this all come together from the time you said you visited Hierophant last summer, and here we are about a year later, and it's, you're opening your doors. So that, in the grand scheme of things, that's all pretty fucking quick.
Yeah, we went up to Seattle in June, and we got the LLC for our business in July.
When were you up there in June?
I don't remember the exact dates right now.
I was up there for a week in June and spent like a day and a half at frickin' Hierophant last June, and it was like on like the 18th or 19th.
You might have went just after us because
I feel like it was right around that time.
Yeah, it was right around that time.
Yeah, I think it was right around that
Crazy.
time.
Yeah, it was her first time going up there, so we kind of went all over. We went to Leavenworth, Whidbey Island. We stayed in Seattle a little bit. But yeah, when we were going to our hotel on Whidbey, Savannah was just like, "That's a meadery," and I was like, "What?"
I thought he was gonna crash the car. Like seriously, I was like, "Let's go check in our hotel first. We can come back. It's still gonna be there." And I think when we were talking to Jeremy, he said they had just gotten the sign, like very, very
like
recently.
that day or earlier in that week.
Yeah. So it was meant to be for us to be able to stop there.
Yeah, it really was. So
it was really awesome.
Yeah, so when we got back, I started looking into like what an LLC is, getting all that business and everything going, and then I was like, well, I've got some overtime money, so I just filed for the LLC, and then we just started moving forward from there. And,
there you go.
Yeah, and it took a long time to find a place to do it. I think it took 6 months to find a facility or a building.
It was 4 to 6 months to just find a place. So that was honestly the thing that, besides filing all the paperwork, of course, like finding a place was probably our most challenging thing that we ran into. Even though, it is fast, it was not fast enough for us. Like we wanted to like hit the ground running and just go, because that's who I am. I'm like, let's just do it.
Why can't we sell mead today?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
totally.
It's like, can I just like do a one of those storage rentals and make it in there? Like, will that work? And the answer is no. Darn.
I mean, if Texas was the type of place that would let us do from our home, I think that's probably what we would have come back and done. We would have just set something up here, but we just couldn't do it.
Yeah, and then once we finally found a place, we immediately filed the federal licensing. That came back in, I think, 5 weeks 3 weeks. It came back in 3 weeks, and we got it. I was like,
it was a lot of luck. Honestly.
Yeah, it was really fast. And then to get our Texas license, the TABC license, it took us 2 weeks to get all the paperwork together we needed for it. And you also have to run an ad in a newspaper for 2 weeks, which that's weird, but okay.
Old school.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anyone who reads a newspaper anymore, but fine. And then it only took another 3 weeks to get our license. So it took us a total of 2 months to get all our licenses. and then we still had work to do before we could make anything.
I'd say,
Right.
besides finding a place, the biggest hurdle that we ran into was hiring a commercial plumber. I did not realize there's a difference between a regular plumber for like your home and the commercial plumber. Not everybody does commercial plumbing.
Yeah.
It took us like forever to find a plumber. Actually.
Yeah, and we needed a plumber because the city code required us to have floor drains, and the building we rented did not. So we had to get that all installed, which was very expensive, a lot more than we expected, but
it's fine.
it's part of it, you know?
No kidding.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fine because like it gave us time to really think about like what do we want our first beats to be, what's really important for us, and I think I told Bryce, I was like, we really need to nail down our traditional. Like, I think that's at least.
That was before that point.
Yeah, it was before, but it was
Yeah.
like as we were doing the whole process. It was like because we had already done traditionals, but I was like, let's really nail it down because at least I feel like a traditional mead is what you base like. You know, it decides whether or not you're going to continue to buy from someone. Like, it's your base. You know what I mean? So I wanted to make sure that we had something that we could be really proud of. And so we spent a lot of that time, even though we were doing paperwork and traveling around trying to find a space, we were also at the very same time making sure we always had test batches. And actually at one point, I told him, I was like, just go buy more carboys. Like, go buy 10 of them.
Yeah,
like,
because I had like 4 at the time, and then we got up to 10, yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, just fill up a closet full. I don't care. Like, get everything going because I want to get to the point where like we have stuff, and we're very like almost scientific with it. Like, let's just change one thing and see like what it does, and let's compare everything and trade notes and things like that. So.
Which is why in some cases, like the strawberry one, I don't know how many renditions I did of the strawberry. The traditional, that was a whole journey because there's a lot to learn there because there's nothing to hide behind.
It's not just that, but it's also like it's so like woo-woo, but it's like, what do you want your tradition to say about you? Like, how do you want it to taste? Like, what do you want people to feel like when they taste it? You know what I mean?
And I mean,
like,
during that process, we tried to buy as many traditionals as we could find locally in the local liquor stores and all that.
We had people back mead from Arizona.
Yeah.
We had like
his
mom
nice.
was traveling. She's like, I found a meadery. You want me to bring you back? I was like,
yeah.
Bring us back bottles.
And it was Superstition Meadery that she started.
Yeah. So we got some Superstition mead brought back from her. Didn't she also bring us some mead from Florida somewhere?
She tried, but it broke.
It broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got some peanut butter and jelly crime, and you got a couple of their other good ones too. That I just can't stand peanut butter jelly crime. It tastes like feet to me. It's so foul.
I liked it, but it was just for my palate. It was overly sweet.
It was very sweet. It was interesting. It was a cool concept.
Yeah, it really was.
I like the art. So.
And I was also very surprised that they got the jelly part using blueberries because it tasted like grapes.
Yeah, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Right. If you're ever interested, so their head mead maker used to be this guy's name is Carlos Facetti. He runs a place up in Bellingham, Washington now called Art of a Meadery. And he's got a couple flavor profiles that taste very similar to like their original peanut butter and jelly crime from years ago when he had first doctored that up. So I don't know if there's like recipe theft or anything like that, but like check out their stuff. If I highly recommend their stuff. It tastes a lot like old Superstition used to taste.
Okay, cool. That sounds cool.
Yeah,
definitely part of them, especially if you're into Washington meaderies.
I mean, like I said, I grew up in the Seattle area, so like anything up there, I hold close to my heart. Like, since going up there, I have ordered all of my coffee from the Seattle area, and I do not regret it.
What part of Seattle did you grow up in, or Washington area?
North
Seattle
of Everett, a small town called Marysville. Well, it's not so small anymore, but at the time it was.
Dude, I'm from Puyallup, Bonnie Lake, Sumner area.
Nice.
Yeah, I went to high school. I went to high school there, graduated. Yeah, so I'm very familiar with the area.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Always nice to find another Seattleite. And yeah, it's so much easier just to say Seattle than like the actual city, you know?
Right. Oh yeah, very, very familiar with that. Where in Washington? Seattle. Just Seattle area. Everyone from Washington is either from Seattle or Spokane. There's nowhere in between. Even people from Tacoma are from Seattle.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Yes. It's just so much easier. People don't ask questions because they think Seattle is basically just like that whole chunk, and it's like, no, fine.
All the way from Canada to Portland to Seattle.
Right?
Seems right to me.
No.
Oh man, And then one last thing I have to get in for my personal pleasure is, who's your favorite Texas brewery right now?
Oh man, that's hard.
See, there's a lot of good ones. Pretty much our home brewery that we love dearly is Three Nations. But
Okay.
I also love the absolute bonkersness of Martin House.
Ah, Martin House. Not what I was expecting you to say, but there you go.
Yeah, no, Martin House is like, they thrive on the fact that they're a quote-unquote joke brewery where they make whatever they want. Like 3 weeks ago, they made a hot dog water seltzer.
I say, yeah, the other cats are making the hot dog water seltzer. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, did I go there and have it? No. Would I drink it if it was presented in front of me? Yeah.
Just because.
And I mean, they're also working on a tartar sauce one. Like, what are you doing? But
Whatever
I'm interested. Yeah.
Whatever they want.
Right.
Yeah. So that they're close to my heart, but like, I'm not going to try everything they do. That's insane.
Yeah. Those guys definitely, I would have to agree, are putting it up on a whole nother level than everybody else. I'm a big fan of Baba Brewhouse and Urban South, but yeah, Martin Brothers is pretty legit.
Yeah. And I know yours.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I'm
what's that?
Southern Star.
Yeah.
Like, they're my favorite.
Who?
Southern Star.
I don't know if I've had any of their stuff. That's what you're drinking there.
That is what she's drinking.
This is their most popular. This is pretty much what you can find. It's the Blonde Bombshell. Or Bombshell Blonde.
Okay.
But it's not my favorite. My favorite is Buried Hatchet, but it's kind of hard to find.
In this area, yeah.
We were down in the area around Conroe pretty recently, and we walked out with like
2 cases, pretty much.
Pretty much 2 cases of it, just so I could have it. I think I went through it already. But
you did.
Dang it.
Well, I helped you a little bit.
Dang.
So
you drink like I drink, girl.
Huh?
You drink like I drink.
Look, I didn't drink it all in one sitting. It's because I can't get it here, so I wanted to make sure that I had it available to me for a little bit. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would have went through 2 cases that fast as well.
No, there's
no saving it. It's too good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys stopping by tonight and sharing with me your guys' story and stories, I should say. And everybody out there, go give Fox and Raven a follow. Check them out. Hit them up on the Vino Shipper when they get going here in a couple of weeks. So like, go follow them. So they're gonna, I'm sure, put a blast out when they go live on the Vino Shipper.
Yeah.
And start grabbing that.
If you want to stay up to date, we are going to be putting out a newsletter when we launch, and you can find that on our website as well. It's foxandravenmead.com. So.
Yep. Boom. Newsletter, sign up. It's the best way to stay up to date with all the Fox and Raven madness that will be happening. And like I said, go give them a follow and all that stuff. Stay up to date on all their stuff. They will greatly appreciate it. And then you will appreciate it when you get that delicious meat in your face.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Bryce. Thank you, Savannah, for being here tonight. And I will be in touch in the future about getting some of your meat. You can believe that.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much.
You guys have a good evening.
You
too.
Bye.
Bye. So thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. That was awesome. I had a great chat with those cats. They are some awesome people. I've heard many positive things about them prior to speaking with them. So definitely glad we finally got a chat in there. And I'm dying to try some of their stuff. That strawberry and cream hydromel I hear is off the chain. So I'll definitely be looking for that one. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'll see y'all next week when I've got an interview with Chubby Cheeks Meadery out of Temecula. Thanks, Dragon Meadery. Tony, have a good one. Steven, have a good night. Kyle, everybody else who's left, appreciate you all. Peace.